Excellent. First hurdle overcome. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the North East Combined Authority Cabinet. It's brilliant to be in North Tyneside today. I'd like to thank Dame Norma and North Tyneside for hosting us. Our tour of the region continues. Northumberland next, as we're in alphabetical order. So we do really appreciate us being in North Tyneside today. I'm going to kick us straight off with apologies for absence. We've got almost a full house today, with the exception of Councillor Kilgour, who is substituting for Councillor Kemp from Newcastle. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? Lovely, thank you very much. Item 3 is announcements from the Mayor and Chief Exec. First of all, after last time's very challenging name debacle, I think what we're going to do today is we're just going to accept that this is a very modern combined authority and everyone's on our first names. Agreed? Agreed. Hooray. Right, great. And I don't have very much else to say on this except that we are coming off the back of the Great North Run only just last weekend. It was fantastic to host the Northern Mayors, all of the Northern Mayors in the region last weekend, with 5 of them joining me on the start line of the Great North Run. Most of them got to the end before I did. And it was fantastic as well to meet with Sir Brendan Foster and agree that as a group of Northern Mayors we want to adopt that Great North image, that Great North title, and that's what we'll be doing going forward as we start to work as a wider North to achieve the joint aims that we as the North East Combined Authority are very aligned with others around. I think it's great for our region. We've spearheaded this. We're the home of that, really that brand that's really synonymous with pride and success and Northern spirit. And it's great for the wider North as we take control of our own destiny and form a brand and an identity that is from the bottom up, from the communities up, rather than from the top down. So that's one of the things that's been happening recently, and I was really pleased to see our region in all of its glory with people cheering runners on, 60,000 of them, despite the rain. It's a highlight every year. Would the Chief Executive like to say anything, Henry? No? Lovely, thank you. Item 4 is minutes of the previous meeting. Does anyone have any objections to the minutes? Is everyone happy? Well, agreed. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Item 5 is the Mayor's Opportunity Fund. I'm really pleased to introduce this item. So we will launch this autumn an Opportunity Fund, which is designed for the community voluntary sector and community organisations to be able to access. It's all around our combined aim to create opportunity right across our region for everybody that lives here, and also to tackle poverty and deprivation, particularly child poverty. We've obviously got a long history in this region and a great relationship with the community and voluntary sector. We recognise that at times of challenge and austerity, the sector have really stepped into the breach and supported the people that need it the most, and we want to be able to support them in the future. Equally, we recognise that there's a fantastic opportunity to tackle some of those issues, such as poverty, but also to give the community and voluntary sector their rightful role in creating opportunity, which they do so well already. So I'm really pleased about this. We've allocated £1 million. Our plan is to also work with local trusts and foundations to crowd in more money so that we're able to offer more support, which is which we know will be popular and will be supported, and so I'm really pleased to present this item. Councillor Michael is the Cabinet member, so I'll hand over to Michael first of all if you want to say anything.
Thank you very much, Kim. Very much welcome this report. As you see, the voluntary community sector does amazing work right across the region, and this hopefully this fund will be the start of, as you see, adding more fund. I would really encourage all colleagues to take this back to their local authorities and to spread the word. I think the more people that know about this, the more people can access it, and the better and the further the funding can go. Not just as local authority leaders, but as also ward councillors. It's important. We all represent wards where the voluntary sector has been crying out for cash over a number of years.
Attention please, can Janet Hemingway please contact reception? Thank you.
Janet's after a grant. So yes, I'll just end there, Chair, just to say this is very much welcome, and the more we can spread the news on this item, the better the community we represent could benefit from it.
Really appreciate that, thank you. And Martin, I don't know whether you want to say anything as our CBS member. I've realised we've got two Martins, never mind.
Thank you, Kim. I think the voluntary community sector welcomes the fund. It's great it recognises the pressure on small organisations that are doing a lot of vital work at a time of great need, including in the wake of the Summers riots, where many community organisations did fantastic work despite the horrible circumstances. And the focus of small organisations is very welcome, as is the speed with which the fund is going to start distributing money. The sector's always got one eye on that. And I think it's great that there's going to be further specifics done on the fund. It's going to have kind of different waves. So I look forward to working with the Mayor and with colleagues to design it further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you to yourself and to the community voluntary sector for all of the work that's been undertaken so far. Anybody else for questions and comments on this item? Amanda?
Thanks, Kim. Really welcome the opportunity for this, and also the fact that it is for smaller groups, because a lot of our rural areas within the combined authority, by virtue of where they are and the population, need investment like this, need opportunities like this, and this will allow them to access that as well. So I look forward to welcoming it. Thank you.
Thank you. Norma?
I certainly welcome this well, because we're all aware of the fantastic work that our communities do out there, to be quite honest. And I think for the public and the people in those communities, they feel much more comfortable to go along to the local community centre and deal with the people that they build relationships over a time. So this is a really good step forward.
Fantastic. Tracy?
Yes, thanks, Kim. I think my colleagues around the table have already said, you know, this is a fantastic opportunity for to support our community groups out in the region. But if I could just have one ask of NECA, is just to try and make the process as streamlined as possible for people to make those applications, because lack of resource and what have you within organisations might make it quite difficult. So that is just an ask, Kim, please.
Yeah, I absolutely, I echo that myself, in the sense I used to work in the community voluntary sector, and I've sat on the other side of the table applying for grants, and at times it can be extremely arduous and can detract from the really excellent delivery that needs to happen to support communities. And so I think it's really important that whatever we do is obviously properly managed, and the governance is exactly as it should be, but we do need to make it nice and simple and approachable, so that it isn't cutting off those groups that don't have professional bid writers on hand, that, you know, who are often not first in the queue to receive grants. So I know that our local authorities all have fantastic relationships with the community voluntary sector, have grants underway, and we know that this will add to the fabric of that, you know, creating opportunity and tackling poverty across the region. Martin?
That button. Sorry, I think I was wanting to say something about how important it is to people's lives having a really strong, vibrant, voluntary community sector. You know, I mean, these things become anecdotal, but my mother, who's now passed away, she had cancer, but she had age-related macular degeneration. Huge support from Durham County Council, you know, through community organisations. That was commissioned work, so that's again a way of supporting community-based organisations. But the most important thing in her life ended up being support that she got from the RNIB, is it, the Society for the Blind, where there was a couple in the same village who picked her up in the car once a week and took her community bingo, right? It gave her a purpose to live. So absolutely hugely support this. I think that at the end of the day, you know, there's a lot of work that goes on out there below the level of local authority, you know, in terms of, you know, unpaid carers and support for people, which is much more important to people's lives than what they're getting provided by the local authority. But what we need to do is to build that capacity, you know, whatever, you know, and to do it in a coordinated way as well as, you know, what's going on in each individual local authority. We're commissioning support from community-based organisations. We're supporting community-based organisations. Equally at the regional level, we're setting up this fund to do this as well. The aim is to build a vibrant community sector, right? This really strong, it's capacity building, if you like, okay? So whatever the storms of life, whatever government is in power, whatever austerity or not austerity, what we need is really strong, vibrant communities, and that's what we need to support.
Thank you, Martin. And stories like that are why we're doing this, isn't it? You know, we've all seen the impact that the community voluntary sector, community organisations has on individual people's lives and the difference they're making in our local areas. So thank you for that. Any other contributions? With that then, are we happy to agree the recommendations to create the Mayor's Opportunity Fund? Great, lovely. Thank you very much. Item 6 is the North East Local Transport Plan. Now, this is a really exciting item that is all about a 2040 vision for transport in the North East to make transport greener, to improve public transport services right across our region, to make sure that we've got a world-class public transport, or world-class transport network from publicly controlled buses, expanded metro, to an active travel network that integrates with the rest of our transport network, expanded electric vehicle charging, and crucially more safety on our public transport network. People will know that we've obviously got underway with delivering on this straight away, and I'm really pleased with that. And I'm grateful to the officers who've worked so hard to get this agenda moving as quickly as possible, because we know how much it means to people. And with that, I'll hand over to Martin, who is the Cabinet Lead for Transport, to take us through the paper, please.
Thank you, Kim. I think, as you've already laid out, this is a really exciting agenda, alongside the commitment of yourself and this authority to tackle inequality and child poverty across the region, tackling some of the structural issues in terms of the region's economy, probably more so than any other area of work, with no disrespect to any of those areas of work. Transport is crucially important to delivering on all of those agendas, and it's about how it integrates with all of those areas of work. We are lucky in a sense that, you know, I'm proud today to, you know, present the draft local plan, but it does already draw together many years of work which has been conducted across the region. We did have the Joint Transport Committee, we did have the previous transport plan, and it's pulling much of that together. So I'm delighted to present the draft and the statutory documents, the delivery plan and the summary documents are all contained in the papers that went round to members and members of the public. The aim of the local transport plan, of course, is to create a fully integrated green transport network that works for all and sets out the region's transport priorities to 2040. These include delivering the greenest transport system in the country, improving and particularly improving safety for women and girls and other vulnerable groups. The accompanying delivery plan sets out all of the things we need to do to get there. Many investments will be funded through the City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement or through the Bus Service Improvement Plan, although, as has been highlighted, there will be a number of long-term projects which will need to be, where we will need to secure a funding strategy to deliver those really ambitious plans. And of course, throughout the whole process and delivery of the plan, we will continue to keep the communities that we represent and this authority completely up to date and informed. As I've already said, the document builds on the 2021 North East Transport Plan, which was agreed by the previous Joint Transport Committee. It shows what the region can do when we work together. There will be initially a statutory independent integrated sustainability appraisal, the ISA, which looks at the impact of the draft proposals on the environment, on health, on accessibility, and that work is currently being conducted. If you like, it's a pre-consultation with statutory consultees before we move on to the public consultation. Once this process is complete, the ISA, a public consultation will be launched on the proposed plan, and that's currently estimated that it'll start this autumn. Just say a few words about the consultation process. The public consultation, it says here, will be far-reaching, connecting with anyone with an interest in improving transport. I think the thing to say that is that's everybody, isn't it? Okay. We do have considerable experience in terms of there's daily public consultations on numerous issues, but we have developed an expertise in making sure that we get the views of everybody in the region. It's well known there are difficult to reach communities. When Newcastle and Gateshead Council consulted, which was one of the most successful consultations on the air quality proposals, we had 18,000 respondents, which is, huge in terms of normal public consultation exercises. We developed a real expertise because as that consultation was taking place, it was obvious there were particular groups that were just not being engaged. And as a result of that, through social media and other techniques, we've developed the expertise to make sure that we do reach out into those difficult to reach communities. So the public consultation will be far-reaching. It'll seek to engage with everybody who has an interest in the improvement of transport in the region. Once the consultation is completed, that'll be fed back and incorporated into the transport plan. I'll work with the Mayor to finalise that document, and the plan should be back to this authority for endorsement in March next year, March 2025. So that's a really fast programme. We've hit the ground running. It demonstrates the commitment of the Mayor and this authority to improving transport in the region. It's a really extensive plan. We want to hear people's views on it. Okay. So in terms of the recommendation, this item asks for the Cabinet to endorse the consultation draft of the LTP, the delivery plan and the summary documents, and the consultation approach. The report recommends that the Cabinet delegates authority to the Chief Executive in consultation with the Mayor, with myself as the Transport Lead Member and the Monitoring Officer, to finalise all relevant documents and consultation materials and to start the process of formal consultation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is an ambitious plan, unapologetically so, that takes us up to 2040 and with an estimated cost of over £8 billion. We're not messing around here. We want our public transport network and transport in this region on a whole to be absolutely world class. So thank you for that, Martin. I've got Lucy first and then Glenn.
Thank you, Kim. Just a few words as Chair of the Business Board. It's a great paper. It's really wide-reaching, it's really ambitious, and well done to everyone who's put such a lot of work in. I know the business community will take a keen interest in this. For business to thrive, businesses need people to get there and back. It needs to bring in trainees from the educational institutions and so on, and it needs to get its goods, not just across the North East region, but across the country, internationally and so on. So I know that that will be the aspect that the business community will be looking at very closely in the consultation, but it's fantastic. We'll lift our heads and think from that aspect, how can we make sure good services are also world-class and accessible to everyone? So I look forward to wading my way through the consultation and putting it in good time. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you very much. And it really is. It's about the infrastructure of opportunity that this creates, isn't it? And yeah, I welcome the business community taking part in this consultation. Glenn?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Martin and all the officers in the LA7 steering group for pulling together this catalogue of really important projects for us to deliver together, hopefully. And I hope we will be able to deliver as many as we possibly can. And it's right as this region grows and becomes even more prosperous, that there will be more demands upon our road system. And I'm sure that we all have our own road improvements within this LTP. But equally important that we consider the environment as we go forward, and that must be an integral part of everything we do. So I welcome the cycling and walking initiatives, and I also welcome the public transport initiatives. Better train fares, better train routes, more stops are crucial. And I think the whole emphasis of the future of buses is very important as well, that we work together on that, because people living in rural areas have a very different need to those who are living in urban areas, and I know that we will meet that need as we go forward. So well done. It's very good, really pleased with it, and onwards and upwards we go.
Lovely, thank you very much. Michael and then Tracy.
Thanks, Kim. Again, just echo Glenn's comments, and thanks to Martin and the team for developing this plan. I'm really delighted that two very important projects for Sunderland are included, the Washington Metro Loop and further developments at Sunderland Station. So although this is good news for Sunderland, I'm more excited about how much this will connect the region up. This is a regional plan, and it will enable people who live in Sunderland to find jobs and opportunities in other parts of the region as well, and vice versa. So really delighted to see it come forward. Encourage as many people to participate in the consultation. We really want to hear your views and look forward to the final plan coming at the early next year. Thanks very much, Kim.
Thank you. Tracy?
Yes, thanks very much, Kim. Yeah, just following on again from colleagues, it is an exciting plan and it's exciting for the region, and I'm so delighted that we are actually bringing this through as one of your manifesto pledges, Kim, very, very quickly, and that was a commitment, so well done to Martin. And I think, you know, when we look at the pipeline of projects, you know, it gives residents the opportunity to get connected to the likes of jobs and services and training. But I also, again, welcome the extensive consultation that you've talked about here, because it's really important that our communities have that opportunity to feed in. So a huge well done to everybody. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Any other questions? Norma?
I think, like my colleagues here, this is a tremendous sort of development for the region, to be quite honest. And I've listened to all how it's going to benefit our businesses, how it's going to actually add to the whole region, and how exciting it is to travel around. But as usual, I want to say it's exciting and really, really positive way forward for our people who have never got any way of getting out of their communities every weekend, who can't get out to the hospital, you know, at week times, they have to get taxis. So it's wide-ranging, but it does send a really good message to those people who sometimes are quite forgotten. Yeah, well done, well done.
Thank you.
I just think, I think it demonstrates how ambitious we are and the fact that it is a long-term plan, and reiterating what lots of people probably think I'd like a train station and I can have it next year, just how long these things do take to design, to establish all of the work that has to go into it. So again, massive thank you to the officers. It has been no easy task to come up with this, but also to Martin, who has chaired Joint Transport Committee for many years, that had us in a good starting point, so thank you.
Absolutely second that. Well, it is, as I said, an ambitious plan, and that's what we are. We are very ambitious for the region. I think critics of this plan might say that it'd be difficult to deliver, but we have got to get out there and state our intention to have this world-class public and, well, the world-class transport network that the people of our region really deserve. I'm going to second everyone's point and say we want this to be as wide a consultation as possible. You know, we want to get into our communities, and so for the millions of people who inevitably will be watching us live streaming today, watch out for the consultation going live in the autumn this year, whether you are a driver, a regular public transport user, a cyclist, or somebody who tries to walk everywhere. We want to hear your views about what public transport means to you and how we can improve that infrastructure to create opportunity across the region. So thank you very much. Do we agree the recommendations that Martin laid out and that are in the report? Agreed. I really look forward to bringing this back in March and taking on the next steps. Item 7 is the Child Poverty Reduction Unit. from my point of view as a new mayor, this was the #1 priority in my manifesto, to reduce the crippling levels of child poverty that we see in our region. And this has seen a cabinet and officers work incredibly hard to produce a proposition which will see us be the first in the country to introduce this, to tackle this problem in this way. What we want to do is create a child poverty unit within the combined authority, which will identify what the problems are, make the recommendations, and then deliver the solutions in partnership with our local authorities, with community voluntary sector, right across our region. Essentially, what this is a long-term approach and a call to action around what I believe to be our region's biggest problem. We all want to see growth. We all want to see success. We want everybody in our region to have access to real opportunity, regardless of their background. But if we don't solve the child poverty that blights too many households, we will never get that in the sustainable way that we need, and we will never have opportunity for every kid. Look, I grew up in a very working class household, and at times we didn't have enough. And the fact that more children are growing up like that now, more children are being blocked from the opportunity that they deserve, having their life chances limited, having their health limited because of where they were born and the circumstances under which they were born, breaks my heart, and it makes no sense whatsoever. It's not what we want for our region. So I'm really proud to put this on the agenda today. This is the start of the process. This allows us to establish a unit, to do the scoping and to work out how we're going to deliver this across such a wide region. But I want to thank the Cabinet and everybody for the commitment that they've shown to making sure that we're able to bring this to the table so very early and to be the first in the country to tackle this problem in this way. And I look forward to working with all of you to deliver it, but not just that, but to work to influence government with this approach, because I really believe that we can create a national model and a national pilot for how we as a country approach child poverty. So with that, I'll hand over to Tracy, who's the lead cabinet member for this area, for her comments as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Kim. I mean, you've already just touched upon there in your introduction. I mean, but this work actually builds on a really strong start that we made in March. I mean, the North of Tyne Combined Authority committed 1.4 million to address child poverty through the workplace, school and family settings in the academic year 2024-2025. And again in June, the North East Combined Authority committed to a further 1.4 million to extend this work to support those experiencing poverty across Necker for, again, this academic year. This work includes a range of interventions in schools, provides welfare and benefit advice to parents, work for employers to drive down in-work poverty, and enables midwifery and health visiting teams to support first-time vulnerable parents. This complements serious long-term provision led by local authorities working alongside numerous organisations and community groups who have been at the front line of this issue for many years. Lessons from this work will need to be embedded within our new approach. For example, South Tyneside are building on the 2 poverty summits that we've already held over the past 2 years, and as part of the anti-poverty strategy, we're actually holding a child poverty summit in October, which can help to inform the work of the Child Poverty Reduction Unit, being able to share learning and understand what works and what will actually help us all. Furthermore, the unit will be able to explore pressing issues and innovative solutions such as free school meals, community shops, and working closely with our fantastic schools. As a region, we have a brilliant relationship with partners across the public, private, and voluntary sectors, and the unit offers an opportunity to trial new policies and interventions. It can also, as Kim's outlined, help to shape national government thinking. The voice of our young people and families in this agenda is absolutely crucial, not forgetting our role as councils, as corporate parents. The unit will focus not just on sticking plasters, but the Mayor's wider agenda on building a North East economy which is strong, inclusive and works for everyone. In this way, the work of the Child Poverty Reduction Unit, will support the wider education, inclusion and skills portfolio from our work to reduce education inequalities in schools to adult skills provision and routes to employability. Through the work of the Education, Skills and Inclusion Workstream, Directors of Children's Services will continue to work with officers at the North East Combined Authority to ensure our work builds on local strengths, builds capacity and avoids duplication. So Kim, I just think this is an absolutely fantastic initiative that this Combined Authority is taking forward with your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think that point about it not being stick and plasters, but long-term solutions to the problems that so many families face is crucial. And of course, building on the work that you've already done, we will host a regional child poverty summit later in this year so that everybody can have their say in how we deliver this work on the ground. Martin.
Thank you, Kim. I mean, first of all, I want to acknowledge, the commitment that you've given to this issue, the fact that it was top of your electoral manifesto, and that in recognition of that, very quickly have established this unit and to tackle child poverty. And also that I know that you're working with central government as well in terms of developing a joint agenda with central government. I just want to say what I find really exciting about this work, okay, is about tackling the causes of poverty. It's about prevention, okay. Of course we're concerned about the huge levels of child poverty in each one of our local authorities. And Kate said something like about a third of children growing up in poverty, who, let's be blunt about it, that poverty will blight their life chances. There are opportunities when they go into school at that baseline assessment, they'll be behind. Their development is already stifled. And even with the greatest of interventions, although much of that can be rectified, there are areas which the research shows, particularly in terms of language development. If there's a fault in language development really early on in a child's life, that follows them throughout their school career. And as a consequence of that, that means either unemployment, irregular employment, low-paid employment, and all the consequences that come with that, which give what's the greatest problem we have across the whole of the region, which affects absolutely every aspect of policy, is low household income. Household income in Gateshead is about £30,000 a year, to the median point. So 50% of households in Gateshead get less than £30,000 a year. That's what causes all of the problems. So what I find really interesting in this is it's about tackling the underlying causes. There's a lot of work already gone on in local authorities. I know in Gateshead we had a Child Poverty Commission some years ago that was chaired by Baroness Joyce Quinn that looked at all of the issues in terms of the barriers that affect children as they, in their early lives, what the interventions are that's needed to try and stop that hindered development. And that research informs policy, doesn't it? Okay. Now, I don't have to put. As I say, we're concerned about the astronomical levels of child poverty in the region, and you either just feed poor people, which I don't think is it's a laudable thing, right? Okay. When we see suffering, you want to do something to alleviate suffering. But what I like about this work is it's about not just feeding the poor, it's about tackling the underlying causes which cause poverty in the first place.
Thank you. Glenn.
I think we probably all agree that it is not just disappointing, it's immoral that in 2024, a child born in one location should not have the same opportunities to move on in life as someone born in a different place, maybe just 10 miles down the road. That's got to be wrong. And let's not underestimate the difficulty here, because it's not something that can be fixed straight away or overnight. It's a huge task. But I think if we all speak with the same voice, show the same commitment, share the good consultation and partnership working that we have in our own councils, but also as the combined authority, Kim, I think we will get there. And certainly Northumberland will sign up to that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Norma?
I just want to build on what Councillor Sanderson has just said there. That there's some excellent work going on in each of our local authorities, and we don't want to lose that. And I hope some of that can be incorporated into the new unit. That could be shared right across the region. Thank you.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what this is about. It's about additionality. It is that call to action to everybody to say, this is all of our problem. One of the first things that we were going to ask the unit to explore is the void that too many families experience as they're looking for work or training, and that inaccessibility of childcare. We know that 28% of women in our region are economically inactive, but what we really know is that many of those women are doing unpaid work in the home, whether that is caring or childcare. And so we want to reduce some of that burden. So one of the first things the unit will explore is how we deliver that for the people of our region, and start to support more people to have the job and the life that they truly deserve, and to support every child in our region to have the best possible opportunity. So thank you very much. Nothing is off the table for me when it comes to tackling this issue. We've got to use everything in our armoury because every child here deserves the very best. This is the best place in the world, and there's no excuse for us not to give them that. So thank you, and are we happy to agree the recommendations in the report? Thank you. I've turned my microphone off. Item 8. Unlocking finance for North East businesses to start and grow. Another really exciting paper. Clearly, we want to make sure that we've got a thriving business community in our region out there creating jobs right across the region at every level. And we've had some good success in the region with some fantastic success stories starting up here. But you know, a lot of them need a little bit of a helping hand along the way. So I'd like to hand over first of all to Councillor Kilgour and Karen. I even introduced the idea to Karen first, and then to Michael, who are jointly portfolio leads for this area of business, to take us through this report.
Thank you, Mayor. Nick set out at the last meeting of Cabinet that through delivery of the agreed strategic priorities for the economy portfolio, we're contributing to the delivery of our shared regional ambitions. And these strategic priorities include ensuring that the North East has a positive and impactful role to play in our northern and national growth story moving forward, by backing our transformational opportunities to boost growth and productivity in our foundational economy, and tackling known issues holding back growth, including investment readiness of key employment sites, energy capacity constraints, key skills shortages, and a lack of investment for growing businesses, alongside developing a clear plan to proactively guide our economic transition in a way that tackles structural inequalities in key industries, drives up good work and fair pay, and drives down poverty. This paper sets out our ambitious proposals in relation to tackling the lack of investment in innovative and growing businesses specifically, and first steps towards the creation of investment funds which back innovators and entrepreneurs, trading on our reputation of centuries of creativity and invention. These funds are also a part of the delivery capability we need to attract private investment we need to deliver the scale of ambition that we have. The economic content and need for this investment is clear in the paper. The region has historically suffered from poor access to investment to support business growth. And while this is an issue facing most regions, the issue in the North East is particularly acute. A market assessment has shown that the gap between demand and available supply of investment is between 12 and 19 million pounds per annum. Critically, gaps in finance availability are apparent across the spectrum, from businesses in the foundational economy seeking modest organic growth to highly innovative businesses with significant scale-up potential. A gap of this scale within a regional economy with already subdued start-up growth and innovation rates only reinforces existing structural barriers to the North East reaching its economic potential, and it must be addressed. We will address this as part of a wider strategic approach, including an inclusive industrial strategy and a refreshed approach to business support, which are being developed as a priority. And with your permission, Mayor, I'll hand over to Councillor Modi to set out the proposals. Michael, sorry.
Thank you, Karen.
I'm doing it now.
Colleagues, as was set out at the last meeting of Cabinet through the work of the Finance and Investment Portfolio, we are seeking to take an ambitious and strategic approach to investment for the North East region and ensure the Combined Authority makes the best use of financial resources. This proposal, as set out, does this. Significant investment by the North East Combined Authority is proposed in strategic and long-term funds. These funds will operate on a recyclable and returnable basis, significantly leveraging private sector investment in the process. This allows the Combined Authority funding to work harder and go further. The resultant investment will unlock growth, build confidence in our SME base, turbocharge university spin-out, and ensure the region is a great place to start and to scale a business, helping to address the issues identified by Karen earlier. In total, enabled by £70 million of investment proposed from the Combined Authority, over £350 million of investment is expected to be made in regional businesses. Specific proposals are set out in the report and include taking steps to establish a successor fund to the current North East Fund, which will provide much needed equity and loan investments for SMEs where the mainstream market fails. An early stage equity fund to support commercialisation and spin out, which will address a known gap in the very early stage of patent investment required by early stage ventures starting up because of research and innovation activity in our universities. We are in dialogue with regional universities regarding co-investment in the creation of this fund, which presents an exciting potential collaboration. The impact of these proposals combined are expected to be significant, supporting around 3,000 jobs over the lifetime of the proposed funds. The next step are set out in the report. A procurement exercise is to commence to identify potential fund managers to operate the funds. This will be undertaken by the North East Fund Limited, a holding company established by the constituent authorities of the Combined Authority to operate the investment funds of this type. Following this, in early 2025, Cabinet will be asked to consider the final proposals to award the funding required and launch the funds. With that, Mayor, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. And I think that shows just how exciting this proposition is. What we know in this region is we're known for that innovation, and some of the most exciting early ventures, innovations, inventions and discoveries creating some of the most well-known businesses have come out of work both in our universities and across our region. And so this allows us to loan the money, but it also allows to bring a return on investment back to the authority so we can continue that virtuous circle and support businesses in our region. 70 million to leverage £350 million of investment in North East businesses is really, really exciting. And I'll hand over to Lucy, who's our business representative on the Combined Authority.
Thank you, Kim. Again, I really welcome this initiative, and it's very timely because we've had a real success. Do you remember the days when we used to get European money? We've had real success over the years getting that European money, the Jeremy funds as we called it, and we've made really good use of that funds, and we've gained in the North East an expertise. We've been able to build a support around it with great fund managers, business mentors and so on. So as that money comes to an end, we've scratched our head to think, what next? And we will have our share of the Northern Powerhouse Investment Fund, but a share of that. And that is why this fund is so important, because it is for us in the North East, enabling us to build on that expertise. So really useful, really helpful paper. I look forward to it coming back. You touched on it, Kim, the importance of leverage. Businesses will come forward and lever when they put that money in, when they see the opportunities around and about them. And working closely with the university sector is vital to this. We've all know some of the great startups that have come from that sector. And I know through my previous career in that sector just how closely involved they are and how excited they are by these initiatives. So great paper. Thank you for bringing it now early on in your reign of whatever we might call it. And I look forward to working with you yet more closely on this.
Thanks,
Kim.
Lucy. I'm not sure anyone wants me to rain anything. Any other questions or comments? Amanda?
Yeah, thanks, Kim. I fully endorse this report. We have some excellent examples already across the region of work like this, but we need to do it at scale. And this is why this is so important, because all of the other priorities that we have as a combined authority all feed back to being able to give people the opportunities. And we can't do that. We can't address some of the issues we've already spoken about today if we don't have these opportunities in place for people. So I think this is one of the most essential things that we can do to provide that opportunity for all the residents and businesses within the North East.
Lovely. Any other comments? Oh, Norma.
I just want to say this is really another exciting paper, to be quite on what it offers to this region and our business to grow and develop, but also actually to get our young people trained actually to participate and take up employment in this business. But I just want to say, and I have to say this is a really exciting agenda, an exciting paper, because all I'm going to say to you, we could not have done this had the 7 authorities not decided to come together and form a combined authority. So the whole agenda here is saying really positive things and things we can do for the people who live in this region. Well done to all of you who actually got on that journey. Fantastic.
Thank you. As always, Norma's right. Are there any other contributions? And if not, do we agree the recommendations as laid out in the paper?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you very much. Item 9 is the audit update, and so I'm going to hand over to Janice Gillespie, who is Director of Finance at the Combined Authority, to take us through this. We also have David Willis. Thank you for attending, David, who is the Chair of our Audit and Standards Committee.
Thank you, Chair. By way of introduction, as the report says out, this is to present to Cabinet the annual report for last financial year for the former North of Tyne Combined Authority Audit and Standards Committee, and that report in relation to the former North East Combined Authority and the Joint Transport Committee, with a bit of an update on the new Combined Authorities Audit and Standards Committee and the progress that's meeting. I'm happy to hand over to Dave, but I guess the specific point that I wanted to raise with Cabinet is the approach to the appointment of our future external auditor. So the paper sets out the options in terms of the public sector appointments approach to the appointment of an external auditor, or indeed a local procurement activity in respect of that. My professional recommendation is we go down the PSAA appointment route, just reflecting on the fact that the majority of local government uses this route. That's what the PSAA have been set up to do. But significantly in this point in time, and all members will be aware of this, that the risk in the market of external audit and the opportunity to secure an external auditor in the current environment is not without challenge. So to go down the PSAA route actually reduces that risk and gives us more certainty that we will actually appoint or be appointed an external auditor, and potentially one that actually knows us and can work to secure the group accounts audit with Nexus. So that's a significant issue for us at this point in time in our early stages as an organisation, hence my recommendation in the report. But happy to pass over to Dave in terms of the outturns from last year.
Thanks, Janice. So first, to everyone, thanks for appointing me in June at your June committee as your independent Audit and Standards Committee Chair. I've been chairing audit committees for a period of time. I think the first one I chaired was back in 2008, and I've chaired them all the way through to the North of Tyne Combined Authority, so pretty much continuously. North of Tyne Combined Authority was January 23, and I'm going to talk about 23-24, where we thought, or we did have, 3 really significant challenges. The first was the backlog of audits. and there was a significant backlog of audits from previous years. The emergence of the new mayoral combined authority and the risks associated with it. And the third issue was the quoracy of the audit committee, both of North of Tyne and for the South of Tyne as well. And the reputation that both had was that their quoracy was poor and failed on previous occasions. So during 23-24, we worked quite extensively to clear the backlog of accounts from 2021 through to 22-23. So that's 3 sets of accounts cleared in 1 year, not insignificant. At every audit committee meeting, we had around about a half-hour agenda item linked to the development of the mayoral combined authority and the risks associated with it. We had various executives there and we kicked about all the risks associated with it. And I worked quite hard to help improve the quoracy, speaking to the councillors as they intended, encourage them to come along to further meetings. We can't make decisions, obviously, if we're not quorate, but the good news is, of the 6 committees that I did chair in that period, 5 were quorate. The one that wasn't quorate, there was good reasons for it, where there was a clash of meetings. So that's looking backwards. The detail is in the report. I just want to mention the new Audit and Standards Committee. We've had 3 meetings. The first one was a workshop, an educational workshop for the new members. We've had 2 formal meetings. The first one was July. The second one was this morning. And the Audit Committee this morning agreed the PSA route for the new external auditors when we get round to appointing them. We also had around about 30-minute discussion about the risk management framework and the strategic risks, principally the strategic risks. And what I can say is that discussion was really good, and people who were there have actually said that as well. So we had a good meeting this morning. And hopefully going forward we can maintain quoracy and continue having these good debates as we develop. We have another development session in November, followed by the next formal meeting in January, and I look forward to working with the guys around the table as we go forward. And that's all I was going to say today. Thanks. Unless anybody has any questions.
No, thanks, Dave, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing on the Audit Committee. It's much appreciated by the whole authority and all of the Cabinet members. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Excellent. With that in mind, are we happy to agree the recommendations, including Janice's professional recommendation on audit committee, on the audit appointment of auditors? Thank you. Excellent. Item 10 is the risk management framework and strategic risk management. And we're back to Janice again for this item. We have got a little bit of the Janice Gillespie show going on today, which we're all very grateful for, because I'm not sure that any of us could do the work that she does. So over to you.
I guess we're all involved in this one in terms of risk management. Cabinet are aware that we've spent some time over the last few months developing the risk management framework itself in terms of our approach to risk management, the processes that we're putting in place, and I guess that question on risk appetite and tolerances that we are willing to accept as an organisation. And so this report sets out that framework and the way that we're going to manage that move forward. And I would say that's been very much done across the whole organisation in terms of developing the framework, but significantly with our SLA partner for risk management at North Tyneside, and then some officer work within the combined authority. I guess as part of the work, what that's led to is that schedule of strategic risks included in the report today. And that was developed through a series of workshops with the heads of service and key officers, reviewed a number of times within the senior leadership team, and consulted upon in terms of what those risks, strategic risks, look like. And as the Chair of Audit and Standards notes, that's been fully debated this morning at Audit and Standards Committee. Happy that, hopefully you're happy to receive the report and agree the recommendations, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments on this in the risk register? Amanda?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, not any questions, to both Janice and David for the previous reports. Norma talked about all the exciting reports on the agenda. We can't do any of this without performance management and audit. So to lots of people, it's not exciting, but it is absolutely essential. So as somebody who is an audit chair in another organisation, thank you.
Martin?
Kim, it does highlight in the report a couple of significant points in terms of transport risk. Red is transport funding, which I think I'll cover, but is a really significant risk. In terms of transport operation, it says amber, and I think that, to me, that's more about we could do things better. We have a myriad of delivery partnerships across the region. We are coming together as one authority, and I think there's an opportunity to do things differently. So I think that could mean whether that's through economies of scale or whether it's through reducing duplication. There'll be a whole range of opportunities where we can do better. So I think the operational side is less a risk than it is about a spur to do things better. But in terms of the funding situation, I do feel the necessity to say something about it, because that risk is substantial. In terms of policy direction, our aim, as has been for some time and is contained within the local development, the transport plan, is to reverse the decline in bus usage. Bus usage has declined over 40 years. And I think over the last 12 months, it was a 13% decline. I can't remember the precise figures, but it is significant. And when we talk to our communities, they tell us they are concerned about congestion, they are concerned about air quality, they are concerned about the quality of the environment, they are concerned about climate change, but they quite rightly say, well, where's the alternative? I'm a nurse in North Tyneside and I work in Gateshead. I've got no choice but to drive, okay? So we need to provide alternatives. That's the policy drive. We have had significant problems. So COVID put the bus operators under enormous pressure, and the government stepped forward, and you remember those campaigns to get funding for bus operators, and they came forward in tranches, and we had to campaign again. Last year, I think it was about this time last year, BSOC funding to the operators was coming to an end, and at that time the operators were, because they know the funding's ending, and they have to give us notice of the withdrawal of services, and we were looking at a reduction of something like about 16 to 20% of reduction of services. Government continued that funding on, but there's uncertainty going forward. Equally, and perhaps more significantly, we've done a lot of work over the last 2 years in terms of the BSOP funding, Bus Service Improvement Plan. Now, initially that plan was to improve and enhance services, although subsequently, because of shortages of funding, the government did allow us to use the funding to prop up existing services, if you like, okay? However, it has funded significant interventions in terms of, the reduced fares across the region and the under-22s £1 fare. These have had a major impact and are really significant. And that funding, I think, we have sufficient funding to last until March next year. So we are awaiting announcements from government. I raised this yesterday with an official from the Department of Transport, and of course I knew the answer before I asked the question, because his response was, well, we'll find out in the budget on the 31st of October. I'm just raising it because these issues are really significant. We face two cliff edges. BSUP funding, which we need reconfirmation of, and of course there's the issue about, at the moment, the £2 fare for everybody is funded by central government, and we have no certainty about that going forward. Now, given the huge work that we've done to improve bus services over the last 2 years, to make them more attractive, to lower the costs so people are more inclined to make the switch out of their car into buses. If that funding doesn't continue, it will be massively affect the work that we've been conducting over the last 2 years. So that's what it's highlighting. Finally, just on the terms of the capital funding, there's, you know, we know the Chancellor's made announcements about the £20 billion black hole in the public finances, and the consequence, we're waiting for official confirmation of the £73 million that was confirmed by the previous government for CRSTS funding for County Durham. Again, that will have to be confirmed by the budget in October. It will be absolutely, completely unacceptable to this region for us to not receive that funding which we campaigned for and which we had committed by the previous government.
Thanks, Martin. And I think just to add to that, we've of course made very clear representations to government that we required this money in this region in order to continue to grow. Thank you. Any other comments on the risk register? Lovely, thank you. And sorry, Amanda, if I've missed your indication on the previous item. Lovely. Item 11 has got a long title, but it's the outturn position for North of Tyne Combined Authority. So we're back with Janice, please.
Thank you.
Sorry, can we agree the recommendations on the previous item? Agreed, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. An unusual position that we are a new combined authority considering the outturn position of the previous organisations, not quite one I've professionally dealt with before. But I guess what that leads to is quite a complex report as we bring together the different elements of all the activity that the previous organisations have undertaken. So we've set that out in the report that clearly sets out all the different revenue activity and the capital activity across the five previous organisations. I think I won't go through all the detail of report. I think some of the key variations have been in terms of when we look at cash balances held during the year, and members will be aware of some of this, we've been able to secure significant investment income in both the former North of Tyne and indeed Necker organisations, and that's helping us to address some of the proposals that are now in the Necker plans in terms of transport activities, the Washington Line, etc. So bringing together of the cash into the new organisation gives us certain opportunities around flexibility. Outturns are largely in line with expectations, so we've managed the cost of transition through the organisations and made provision for risk into the future. So I'd just note that in terms of section 7 of the report, what we will bring forward into the current reporting year is that position on reserves overall, and where we have some unring-fenced or unearmarked reserves. We will bring those together and represent how we'll use them to manage strategic risks across the new combined authority in 24, 25 and beyond. But this is a provisional report, so it will be subject to audit. We anticipate the audit starting in October, November time. We have a changing position on the audit in that we have to conclude it by the 28th of February or we won't get an audit conclusion report. So really key that we now conclude the outturn, get the audit moving and get last year signed off.
Thanks, Janice. And can I just say a huge thank you for all of the work on this, because, I mean, you only have to look at the title of this report to see how complicated a job is to bring together, you know, the wrapping up of those 5 different organisations that have come together to make up this new combined authority. So we're very much appreciative of that. Are there any comments at all? No, thank you. In which case, I'll be happy to agree the recommendations on the report. Excellent. Item 12 is the performance management framework. Obviously, incredibly important that we are able, as a combined authority, to measure our own success. And I think what's really important to me as Mayor, and I know to Cabinet members, is that that goes further than simply looking at the measures by which we're held to account for the way we spend the devolved money by government. And actually, it goes to the impact that it has on people's lives day to day and how we're improving things from the people, for the people of the region. And I think quite often I say that if it doesn't improve people's lives, then it doesn't mean anything at all. And so, of course, it's important that we have this performance management framework. And I'm going to hand over to Jackie Lawton to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chair. So essentially the report has two parts. The first part is it sets out the approach that we're taking to develop that detail that the Mayor's just outlined there in terms of the way in which we will be able to measure outcomes and assess how we're doing against all of the ambitious policy objectives and outcomes that the Mayor and Cabinet have agreed. So there's a huge amount of work underway. The officer team will be working with each individual Cabinet member to make sure that portfolio outcomes are fully reflected, and we'll also be working with the Overview and Scrutiny Committee to shape all of that. So the report outlines the approach that we're taking to pull that all together, and essentially that will give us a way in which we can regularly report progress both internally and, as the Mayor said, externally, which is absolutely critical. So that's the first part of the report. The second part is that it sets out the latest quarterly operational performance information from a transport perspective, both from Nexus and the Tyne Tunnel. So that's essentially the two parts to the report, and we'll bring a further report back to Cabinet in November once we've concluded that detailed work, which you'll all be involved in. That was it, Chair.
Excellent. Any comments? Brilliant. Great work. Are we happy to agree these recommendations? Excellent. I look forward to reviewing our performance under the new performance management framework. Item 13 should be nice and simple. It's just an appointment of the CVS substitute member. John's going to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As you say, a very simple report. As set out in paragraph 1.2, the North East VCSE Sector Leadership Board have proposed Kate Burrows, who is the Executive Director of Durham Community Action, as the substitute CVS member of Cabinet, and this is recommended at Cabinet for its approval.
Lovely. Martin, do you want to make a comment?
Just to say, I mean, Kate's already closely involved with work, not just in Durham, where I know she works closely with Amanda and our other colleagues, but across the whole region, and is a ringing endorsement from the whole of the leadership board. So Kate's great, basically.
Fantastic. We'll endorse that message. Are we happy to agree the recommendations and appoint Kate as the sub?
Agreed.
Fab. Excellent. And with that, we're at the date and time of the next meeting. So the next Cabinet meeting will be scheduled to be held on Tuesday, the 26th of November 2024 at 2 p.m. at County Hall in Northumberland. We can't wait. Thank you.